May it please the court. Wait, different one. President Bryson, Executive Director Bland, Executive Committee members, board members, members of public justice staff, and friends. It is wonderful being here tonight with most of you. Now, I've been told that I am to say some remarks about Dan Bryson and Dan's year of presidency at Public Justice. Two words come immediately to mind about Dan's presidency. Competent is one, and over is another. Now, I say this about Dan not because he isn't serious. Dan is a serious person and a lawyer to be reckoned with, to be sure, but because he is so effective and yet he does not take himself seriously. I like that in Dan. I also like in Dan the fact that he is open-minded. Dan is the most open-minded person that I know from North Carolina. But the fact is that Dan, in his quiet, practical way, has accomplished quite a bit for the organization. And so please let me wax poetic a moment, no matter how much this may hurt me, Mr. Bryson. As president, Dan led the board through one of the most significant strategic undertakings in the organization's history. The newly adopted strategic directions document, which I will talk about momentarily, which Dan helped get across the finish line, is one of the most consequential documents in this organization's history. At a time of great tumult in our civil justice system, this document will be a steady hand in our future efforts, and unfortunately will have Mr. Bryson's fingerprints all over it. But he should be proud of that. At a time when there is much in the nation that is regressing on civil rights, racial injustice, and fundamental liberties we all cherish, Dan spent much of his presidency shepherding through our new diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility policy and program that will have a lasting impact on the board and the organization as a whole. Our incoming class of new board members is the most diverse in public justice's history, but more importantly, it's also the most capable new board members, and I welcome them. In part due to Dan's work over the past year, the organization's commitment to inclusion, equity, and justice for those who've been locked out of the system for too long is stronger and more vibrant. Dan's legacy will also continue to be felt and seen in the work of programmatic new board committees that he has put into place. I will continue them in order to realize the vision of the board as not only effectively governing public justice, but lending a professional expertise to things. When he assumed the presidency, Dan announced to the board in a quite affectionate and genuine way that he was dedicating his year as president to the late Jack Landskroner, a personal friend of Dan's and a significant past president of this organization. Jack, who cared deeply about public justice's work, helping young people and preserving access to the courts, would undoubtedly be proud of you, Dan. Dan's commitment to battling discrimination, preserving civil rights and civil liberties, and laying the foundation for an organization that mirrors internally the values it promoted externally were all issues that were near and dear to Jack. You did them well, Dan. So, from Public Justice and all of us, thank you for your year's presidency, Dan. Take the stand.
feel so inadequate after all the great true heroes that we've heard about tonight. You know, thank you, Tom. Well, let's hear it for Seattle. What a great city this is. And again, thank you, Tom. I'm so happy to hand the short straw, baton off to you. You're going to be a great president. You know, the last time I addressed this group in person was at the Gala 3 years ago on the Midway aircraft carrier in San Diego. Can we believe it's been 3 years since we were all here together? I wore this tuxedo. 3 years later, it's a little bit tighter. I want to thank just a few people. I want to thank my wife, Linda, for allowing me to do this. She's here tonight. I want to thank the amazing lawyers and staff at Public Justice. You guys rock. The staff and lawyers, they just rock. They're incredible. I want to thank all the officers, board members, and committee members for your hard work at making this year a great success. And finally, I want to thank my law partners for being so supportive over the last year, many of whom are here tonight and scattered at various tables. If you had a few extra, thank you guys for letting me do this. As Tom alluded to with Jack Lanskroner, I'm proud to announce the formation of the Jack Lanskroner Memorial Fund that was established in Jack's honor. As most of you know, again, Jack was a former president of Public Justice that we lost to cancer only a little over a year ago. A group of his friends wanted to honor his memory by establishing this fund, which will support the student civil rights work of public justice attorney Adele Kimmel. Jack was passionate about issues involving justice, children, and civil rights. Heather, Jack's wife, is here with us tonight. Heather, would you stand and please wave to everyone? We love you. We're so glad to see you, and thank you for being here tonight, Heather. We miss Jack so much. It is my great honor to have served as your president this past year. It is, I thought I had it printed big enough. It has been such fun most of the time. It's been such fun, most of the time. I have made so many lifelong friends from all over the country. Andrew Lemon got me into this over 10 years ago. Thanks. Beth and Eric, Beth Kramer, Beth Kramer and Beth Terrell and Eric Kramer, thank you so much for paving the way. Your presidencies over the last 2 years, they were kind of COVID and via Zoom, but we're here tonight. And Preston Tisdale, who will be the president after Tom Sobol. Preston's back here. Preston, man, I love you, man. You have taught me so much about race relations. And, Preston was instrumental in the film Free Renty. We all saw it last night, a big group of us. This wonderful film chronicles the saga of Tamara Lanier's effort to obtain the photos of her great-great-great-grandfather Renty from Harvard. They were taken in 1850. It was a terrible thing that Harvard did. They filed a lawsuit, and Tamara Lanier has been trying to get those back. And so Tamara Lanier and David Grubin, the director of that film, are here tonight. If you guys would stand, if you haven't seen Free Renty, you have to watch this. It's amazing. I want to give just a couple of highlights. At Mass Torts in Las Vegas, I got to sit up on the stage with Leslie Stahl, one of the iconic hosts of 60 Minutes, and she looked at me and said, "Who are you?" And I said, I'm Dan Bryson. I'm the president of Public Justice. And she said, "What do they do?" And I said something. I'm not sure, Paul, if it was very good. I'm sorry. And then she said, and she looked at me with those piercing eyes, and she said, "Do you have women in public justice?" And I said, "Oh, yes, we do. And believe me, they are very active. They are fantastic." And she said, "Well, that's very good. I like your organization." And then she got up and gave just the most amazing speech ever. I got to introduce at Palm Springs Mayor Lisa Middleton at the joint President's Justices Party with the Minority Caucus and the LGBTQ Caucus at the Midwinter AHA Conference in Palm Springs. Mayor Middleton is one of only 3 transgender mayors in the country. And what was remarkable about her remarks was that it wasn't remarkable. She was simply the mayor of a small town giving a stump speech about her town. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. But I'm sure she had to overcome so many barriers to get to her position. The work to remove barriers and bring justice is never finished. Let us rally around Tom Sobol and Paul Bland to continue the work of this great organization. Thank you very much.
As I mentioned during my overly effusive remarks about Mr. Bryson, earlier this year, the Board of Public Justice voted approval of a strategic direction document. I see this strategic document as constitutional to this organization. And as president, it is my job to see that the board delivers on this promise. Many of you might not be aware of this document, so I'm going to read a few things about what public justice is and where we're going. This organization takes on systemic threats to justice, including abusive corporate power and predatory practices, the assault on civil rights, and the destruction of the Earth's sustainability. To do so, we connect high-impact litigation with strategic communications. We form partnerships to fight abusive and discriminatory systems. Our vision is a just and equitable society where our systems and institutions are explicitly anti-racist and anti-sexist and serve the common good for the benefit of all, and where a person's opportunities and outcomes are not dictated by their race, nor their gender identity or expression, nor their sexual orientation, nor political or economic power, or other social identities. At Public Justice, we see two interlocking problems, and you've heard about it tonight, that reinforce and perpetuate systems of oppression, exploitation, and inequality. Predatory corporate power and ideologies of white supremacy. Together, these evils harm people and continue to warp and shape many of our laws and institutions. Some people deny that these systems never existed and insist that they are historic relics. We believe that they are central drivers of injustice. And then finally, to meet these challenges, what does public justice's work? We are strategic and proactive. We are focused on changing inequitable institutions and systems, and we are driven through structured, managed, resource programs capable of delivering the change we seek to deliver the mission of public justice. Now, several years ago, I eulogized my father after his death, which, by the way, is the usual timing of a eulogy. My father was a hugely successful public administrator, a strong advocate for the basic right to an education no matter where you lived, and he championed that right when he became the Commissioner of Education for the state of New York in the 1980s and 90s. His work took him away from his family, including me, but I did learn three things simply by watching. First, you must work really hard every day. Get up early, go to work, and then do it again, and then the next day, and then the next. There are no shortcuts. If you want to be an effective leader, if you want an effective organization, ask more of yourself than you're asking of the people around you. Second, involve yourself in the fight for social justice. It's a short life. Make it mean something. And then third, every once in a while, tilt at a windmill, or two, or three. I share these things that my father taught me because they remind me of public justice. Hard work, the fight for racial, gender, and social justice, and a strategic direction that points towards an attainable but faraway windmill. Now, this organization sits upon a great 40-year foundation mortared by a few trial lawyers who selflessly formed a tiny law firm to attack private corporate power, greed, through the use of the courts. They dug into their pockets until it hurt. They gave of their time. They took themselves away from their families. They were effective, and they had a good time. Public justice is now a large organization. Reclaiming the vigor, involvement, and excitement of that small band of rabble-rousers to modern-day public justice is a major challenge. And when you look at our strategic direction, how are we going to achieve that strategic direction? Fortunately, I've been elected to president, and I have the answer. We must insist that we have a board in a community where each person is comfortable in his, her, or their identity, and that each and every one of us is included in our mission. We must demand contributions from everybody, not from what you did in the past, not what you're going to give in the future, but now, and from everybody, and between meetings, not at the meetings. The work between the meetings is what counts, not at the meetings. And finally, we must have faith. No, Hassan, not religious faith. That's not what I'm talking about, so don't worry, my friend. Nor do I mean faith in the sense of some blind belief that everything's just going to fall into place. We must have faith in each other the way that like-minded humans can, at times, collaboratively define a challenge, see the value in each other, work together in a committed way, and achieve beautiful things that seemed unachievable. Doing this means setting our differences aside, being more organized than an ant farm, and getting participation from everyone. But imagine if we did. Imagine if we actually took our constitutional strategic direction document seriously and actually took seriously the fact that we're a member of public justice, we're a member of the board, and that isn't a title, that's an obligation. Imagine that we had a board of 63 strong, active, coordinated board members working with the staff, with our many past presidents, our thousands of members, and our strategic partners to fulfill the strategic direction. After all, public justice is just us. Let's get to work.